Filipino-ness and then the American-ness. I'm just gonna say that. That's actually the main thing that I'm advocating for joining the pageant is self-love and body positivity, because I feel like that I was bullied growing up because I was overweight.
Like when you have the community like getting on you, you know, like you're like, you're not even my mom. Like, how are you yelling at me? You know? But that shows like kind of just how like.
Hello po sa lahat, kamusta? Ako po si Julia. Supportahan niyo po ako sa Miss Philippines USA dahil ako po ay commit. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to like I just realized it's so hard to translate in Tagalog when your like thoughts are in it. Pero ayun po, ma-appreciate ko po yung supportan niyo sa dadating na Miss Philippines USA. I'm committed po ako na any way that I can to make a difference. Yeah. Salamat po.
What's up? What up, everybody? How y'all doing today? I'm really excited. Welcome to the B&E podcast. I have a very, very special guest, someone you have seen on the show before, who we get to dug into not just her life story, her mother's life story, or her fiance's life story. It's been a really cool journey to see, and that's what I love, like the vein. It's a very, 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 very strong vein. If anyone knows about mining, I think this is going to be really exciting to jump into. I have Miss Julia Tabong here. I think one of the things I feel like is so interesting about you is that like you're so dynamic. And I want to kind of jump into this because really particularly I want to jump into your story for those who don't know too much. Obviously I'm going to reference your full story, your full like, you know, journey of coming from the Philippines to America and your whole process there. But it'd be cool for you to kind of give us an elevator pitch before I have some questions about your journey for Miss Philippines USA, y'all. Like this is like we're talking about
Represent.
big, yeah. She's doing her thing for the Philippines, and I feel like it's so you're such a perfect contestant here. Out of all of them, I wanted to really sit down with you. Obviously, knowing a lot about you personally and meeting some of the other contestants as well, I think you're just really interesting to dig into your story here specifically, because just me knowing you, and so without further ado, Ms. Tabong, how are you doing?
Good.
Doing good? Awesome.
Good to be back.
Welcome. So yeah, can you give us like kind of a light journey, kind of like just for people who may not know too much about your story, and how you kind of came out here to the U.S.
To the U.S. Yeah. So, as I have mentioned in my previous podcast, I actually just moved here in the U.S. in 2016.
Yeah.
A little over 5 years ago. Right after I graduated college, we flew here through my grandma, my dad's mom. She petitioned us. And it was exciting. It was more exciting for my parents because they had to leave everything behind. They were already established back in the Philippines. But they left all that to give me and my other 3 siblings an opportunity. You know, America is the place of opportunities. So they let go of their what they have already established to give us a greater chance.
What I love
life.
about your story is specifically your family. Very town-oriented individuals coming from like your grandfather's a police officer. Like you guys really respect your country. Like you really cared for it. Even you said your main parents lived in the city and would like literally walk and commute. Like you're so family-oriented, and how I don't know too much about the Philippines culture, but the way you describe it and the way that even your aunt. Your tia, right? So you know how important she was. Like it's just super cool to kind of hear that dynamic, and just how much that matters to you guys. But I imagine this kind of brings you close to home. This contestants,
Yes.
I'm really curious because one of the things I'm really curious is like one of the questions I actually was really interested in asking you. Was how are you trying to prepare for this pageant? Can you describe this? And there's a lot of different Philippines. There's like Philippines World Pageant. There's so many different types of the pageants you could do, but there's something special about the Philippines USA one. And can you describe kind of like why you made the decision to run in this for your country? What can you explain what this means to you?
Sure. It's actually a funny story because I was actually scouted in a Filipino restaurant, Max's in Glendale. I was just there eating with my family like a year or two ago, like enjoying the sinigang and the crispy pata in Max's. And then this lady came up to us and she's like, "You're very tall." Cause I am tall for an average Filipina. She's like, "Oh, like you should consider joining Miss Philippines USA. Have you heard about that?" And we were just laughing it off and stuff because I never really thought of joining a pageant in a million years. I never really imagined myself joining a pageant. But so I was just laughing it off, like making small talk and all that. And she gave me a card with the information of Miss Philippines USA, and I just brought it home. Didn't really think much of it. I pushed it aside because a year or two ago, my priorities were different. I was trying to pursue more in my career, trying to figure out what I want to do with my career path. Also, I've just decided to go back to school to pursue another degree.
Yeah.
So my priorities weren't really there. So I pushed it aside, but like a year or two after, flash going back to, I think it was December, like last week of December last year or beginning of January. I was just cleaning my room. and then and then
Love it.
all of a sudden I saw this the card that was given to me like a year or two ago, and I got curious. At that time, it's vacation. I wasn't really like doing much, so I was just cleaning my room, and I saw that, and it got me curious. You know what? Let me look into this. So I looked it up. I came across their Instagram page, and they were doing a lot of like different outreach programs and stuff like that. And as you have mentioned a while ago, I grew up with doing outreach programs for other people. My family is all about community service and all that. So back in the Philippines, my family and I would do outreach for, like feeding programs, especially like in the Christmas times, to like just give back to the community in any way we can.
Yeah.
In school, I would join these programs where we would go to the public schools to like tutor math and English to like the little children, the people in need. So when you already had that experience before, you just like have that constant hunger for it and the desire, like your spirit just like keeps looking for it.
Yeah.
So, but when we moved to the US, of course, the first few years, our focus was shifted. Yeah, you just really have to like focus on getting settled down, career path, finding your home, finding a good place to stay for the family and everything. So I never really got around it, but that constant hunger for that, that fulfillment didn't really leave me, It was ingrained in me as I was growing up. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, this could be an opportunity for me to get back to it, So I think that's what ultimately sealed the deal for me to join Miss Philippines USA, because I feel like that will be a stepping stone for me to get back to community service. And that's what ultimately was the deciding factor for me.
That was the cool.
Joining.
Yo, that's super cool. Kind of like pulling on some of the roots that you come from. It makes complete sense. And those who haven't seen her, so I really advocate for you to really look at her full story. I mean, it's astonishing the life that she has gone through and her family has gone through to just come here not too long ago, less than a decade ago, and to just, you guys are, a lot of people say you could get in the ladder of opportunity, and for you it seems like you really try to seize the opportunities. I'm curious on how's been the process of going through for preparing for this pageant. How has that process been going for you so far?
You know what? It was actually more than what I have ever imagined, ever expected. I thought, okay, I would just join this and then it would, lead me to those like opportunities for community service and all that. But no, it's actually so much more. And this whole journey has opened my eyes to that. It's a holistic transformation. It's not just physically, it's emotionally, it's mentally, everything. And I have learned so much about myself and about how I should deal with different emotions, stress, time management, even my relationships,
We
It
can
was.
take.
It's
No,
huge.
I've seen, every time I look on Instagram, you're at a different event. Shout out to your Instagram real quick. What's your tag on Instagram?
Oh yeah, it's underscore. Sorry, underscore Julia Styles. JuliaStyle triple S underscore.
We'll post in the chat as well.
Yeah.
One of the things you're at different events. You're showing you're like still doing community service stuff there too. You're showing your process of working out and how that journey as well. You studying, going through school, maintaining your obviously relationship with your family. That's a lot to add on to your plate. One of the things I've noticed in doing some research in kind of the whole pageant world is how important it is the lifestyle they want, especially for the person they choose to represent, especially a country and within the U.S. What do you think kind of like about your lifestyle makes it kind of really cool and special for why you think, being a Miss Philippines, being from the Philippines, like, because there's a cultural difference here, really specifically. And a lot of the events that you've been going to has been kind of like, Philippines oriented. Being around like your community more and seeing this kind of U.S. side of Philippines versus kind of like the at-home side of the Philippines. How do you feel like, again, that kind of like lifestyle has been the difference between the two of being in the U.S., you understand my kind of question versus kind of the actual in the Philippines? Do you feel like it's one and the same?
There are differences and similarities for sure, especially because I moved here in 2016. I was already, I was born and raised there. So
Right.
From the get-go, coming here in the U.S., it didn't really change much of my Filipino-ness. Like my inner core is Filipino. Even like the change was just the place, pretty much, simplistically speaking. But what's interesting for me is meeting the other candidates and the other people through our events and communities. Because I was raised in the Philippines, but most of the candidates here in the Miss Philippines USA are Filipino Americans. They're like first generation.
Right.
They grew up here, and it's interesting to see how they were able to retain, how their families were able to retain the Filipino attributes and then the Filipino like values and traditions, even if they were raised here. Yes, they are like a little more Americanized in a way that they have a more free perspective of many different things. Because in the Philippines, it's more like more conservative. But here, America is the land of the free. They are more accepting of the different views and different perspectives for different issues, and learning
So interesting.
from them. It's really interesting to see how the Filipino-ness and then the American-ness, I'm just gonna say that, merge into these individuals that I meet in the pageant, and it's amazing.
What is kind of the core values that you find that being kind of that Filipino American, some of the core values that you feel like is really important to you?
Being Filipino American,
Well, I mean, it's really tough for you, but yes,
Yeah.
I guess that's the appropriate term, hopefully.
the very core values, I guess, whether we were raised in the Philippines or here, the main value that retains is our number one, our family orientedness. That really never leaves any Filipino. We are the support, and the support system is very strong, and also our faith in God. Filipinos, being a Catholic country, we are very deeply rooted in our faith. So that actually really dictates a huge part of our lifestyle and how we interact with other people and how we present ourselves to the world.
Yeah. No, I could completely tell this for sure. Going to some of the, I think it was I don't remember the name of the festival. I think it was just the Philippine Festival. I don't want to call it that, but I don't know the exact title of the festival. But I remember going there and seeing the talent. You guys are
the Mayfest.
Yo, Mayfest. That's so. Shout outs to
Back in May.
Mayfest.
Yeah.
Holy cow! Just the amount of talent just the amount of like everyone's cheering. It's super joyful. Just like there's a big community for that wants to support each other in goals and in tradition. Is really cool. I notice a lot of countries, and I guess wouldn't say the Philippines, but tend to kind of lose sight of their roots. But it seems like the Philippines really came close. I can completely see that kind of family oriented, the support system, the faith side of how important that is to you guys. And I saw all the nonprofits even going there. I remember seeing you going up to them, like talking to some of them, really like trying to ask like, what are they doing. It's really cool. How would you explain kind of the, especially because this is a contest, there's as much as like there's family and friends, there is a sense of like, look, you're trying to win. Ambition is a big part of that, and it's I mean you went and got your degree already, and you're going for another degree. So like why so ambitious, why so driven to try to achieve these goals, when you already kind of did it in the Philippines? To do it again in the United States kind of feels, whoa.
I think for me personally, I think it goes back to, as I mentioned my last podcast too, because I am the eldest with among my siblings and all of my cousins from both my mother's and father's side. So it has really been ingrained for me to step up and be that role model, even at such a young age. There's that it's not that they're obliging me or like they're pressuring me to be this role model, but with how I was born and raised, I just have that like set that expectation for myself to be the best version of myself, to be a good example for all those like youngins.
And you're again, what do you think, kind of like, you mentioned this example, right? You mentioned the role model. There's been, right now I was doing some research on kind of the Filipino pageants, right? And there's like 8 women who've in time hold 2 titles. Like there's like some women out there who try to like really hold their weight and try to show like, going for like Filipino worlds and so on and so forth. But I think there is something special about kind of the Philippines USA version. And I'm curious on your kind of like your position on what makes a good role model in terms of like a woman who is a Miss Philippines USA. What do you feel like is it the example that Miss Philippines USA should set?
Yeah, I think people have the misconception with pageantry that it's all about glitz and glamour because of the social conditioning that we have in like films, movies, and all that. But what I've come to realize is like pageantry is actually so much more. It gives young women like me the opportunity to step up, to use their voice and their platform to advocate for issues that are really close to their heart and be the representative for people who can't actually do it themselves, like to be able to represent for those people who feel inferior, to encourage them to find their own like purpose as well, so that they may find their own path.
It's interesting. There's a really cool way to see it as well. I was just going to ask you that. There is this kind of negative connotations when it comes to pageants. And that's why I like the key thing of the lifestyle. Because obviously you want someone who's healthy, and beauty I think comes with health, right? Taking care of yourself and that aspect. But there is a kind of mental side of that as well. How big of a role do you feel confidence plays in the space of being a kind of, not even just being who you are as a Filipino and American, but how do you think confidence plays as a woman in that space as well?
Huge. It's huge. That's actually the main thing that I'm advocating for joining the pageant is self-love and body positivity, because I feel like that is like the main foundation in trying to pursue more in life. I also feel like the lack of self-love and body positivity is also like the main issue on why a lot of the issues in the country and all over the world are happening, like like bullying,
Mm.
harassment, and all that. It all boils down to people not seeing themselves in the light that that is worthwhile. People play this narrative that they are so much more or less. They come from a perspective that they are inadequate, like inadequacy, um, that they are lacking, and that is why they project to other people. And so instead of lifting each other up, we are constantly
Trying to tear people down.
trying to tear people down, and it's more destructive than you know.
No,
improving.
no, it
Yeah,
makes sense. I think there is a sense of those who try to beat themselves up, and they feel bad, right? You got to let it out on others, so they tend to let out on other people. We live in a very connected world. We've been more connected than we've ever been connected ever, you know. But there is something where you do have people who want to try to connect with others, right, in a more positive way. And one of the kind of curious questions I have, kind of along those lines, is that everyone has failures, right? What would you say would be one of the biggest failures for you that you had to overcome?
One of the biggest failures for me that I had to overcome, I guess, seeing, in line with what I was saying a while ago, seeing myself as inadequate and inferior than anyone else. I mean, my family didn't really lack on reminding me that I am like so much more and stuff, but you can't really control the external factors, and we're just human beings, like it can, like all these negative talk, it can tear people down. Self-love is not really also about external things. It also implies to like self-negative talk, and all that. And I feel like my biggest failure as I was growing up was talking to myself in a very, very negative light, where it actually driven me to some kind of depression and anxiety.
I think being the
That
oldest,
destroyed, yeah.
being the oldest, that kind of pressure you have. But I mean, to still tackle school, to transition to a whole different country, I mean, you picked up English in that country, come out here. I mean, that seems really cool to see, like the growth that you have in these areas, and the kind of the where you, because everyone fails, right? In order to grow, you have to fail. Like, you can't appreciate what's not going right in life if you don't experience what's not going right as well. You kind of need that both. You need the dichotomy of both. So, I'm actually curious, kind of spinning off of this as well. What do you kind of feel like? Everything of, again, we talk about failure, right? What do you kind of feel like is the most how do I say this? What is the most important issue that, whether it be the Philippines or United States, is facing right now on maybe things that maybe your country, and I mean, both countries you're a part of, such an interesting pageant. I love it. That you're facing, that you kind of feel like, man, we should tackle this together. Kind of you mentioned going out in the world and giving back to the people who don't have much. Do you kind of feel like that plays along of kind of what you feel like, man, it's a big problem we should solve as a country?
I think it would be self-hatred, I guess. Because as I was
like mental health.
Yeah. As I was mentioning a while ago, I feel like the lack of self-love really is the main reason and why we're having all of these issues in the world right now.
So I just read a quote today, and it reminds me of what you just mentioned. They essentially says that you physically, like your physical well-being, is going to protect you from others, right? Trying to fight you or defeat you, right? But your mental well-being is going to protect you, like yourself, from beating yourself up, to self-inflicting. Exactly. You are so huge about this, because as of right now, I completely see this sense of like this. Where do you think it comes from?
I think it comes from people not being able to sit on their own pain. I feel like the society doesn't really encourage people to dwell in their pain. They always like expect people to, push through it, go through with it, like,
Hustle culture type of thing. Yeah.
But I think what really is important is for people to be okay to just sit in their pain, dwell in it for a little bit, because with pain you get to know who you are, who you really are in your inner core. If you don't really tackle on what triggers you, why, on the big why of all these emotions and everything, and you just like push through, just getting through it and trying to be better. If you don't know the why, then how can you actually
Get to the other side.
get to the other side?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I imagine in your life that you have felt, in some way, shape, or form, that you have felt or have been bullied, right? How how do you handle that for those who are out there who are getting kind of, whether it be they're self-bullying themselves or if it's coming from an outside source, right? If you have been bullied, how should someone handle that? This is more. I'm specifically talking about the children and the kids. I know it's a big family is a big part, and I mentioned guidance is a big thing as well. But I'm really curious about specifically you and the children's side of things. On like, how do you see the world of when people do get bullied, when people go through some pain or sorrow or sadness or whatever specifically it may be, how they may be able to go and handle that and get out of that kind of the bullied, beat down type of kind of lifestyle. How do they kind of fight back? How would you handle that?
That is also why I'm very passionate about self-love and body positivity, because I have been a victim of the detrimental effects of that. I was bullied growing up because I was overweight. And of course, even if my family was not lacking with reminding me how beautiful, how strong, and how capable I am, those could have a huge effect. It had a huge effect on me growing up. It knocked down my self-esteem. It really started all that negative self-talk and all that. But what I have learned as I was growing up is to look within, I guess. To look within. Do you really believe all these negative talk?
Almost like, does it define you?
Does it actually really define you? Like, is it really the truth, or are you just like, are you believing it and you're just coming up with lies and you're just living with those lies? Like, I guess what would really help is really going in on yourself, and really asking yourself, what do you think would actually really define you as a person? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? We all have our strengths and weaknesses, and we all have we all have challenges that we had to face. But what makes it harmful is if we let it define us, let it control everything. So if we dwell on them, analyze them, and then see what we can do about them. Self-love is about accepting your flaws, accepting who you are as a person, imperfections and all, and also acknowledging the potential that you could, like, what could you be? Okay, I'm like this. I'm overweight. Okay, what can I do about it?
It's like some will, some won't. So what? Now what? Next.
Yeah.
Like, what do we got coming up? I love it. It's always trying to see forward, not trying to, you mentioned this kind of thing that you have to sit in it for a second. You have to recognize where it's coming from. I think you mentioned this kind of like people pushing through things, and it's not healthy, right? Trying to push and push and push through your problems. For sure, it's going to be
it's just gonna pile up.
Yeah, it's gonna pile up. It's gonna make things worse. Obviously that's not like the main goal and premise of things. The focus of everything is to try to help grow through these problems and to be able to, see. Again, one of the things I love you mentioned. You said that family oriented thing, right? Being family oriented, putting yourself around others who can help support you through these times of need. You had family around you, always like, hey, you got this, girl. You're gorgeous. You're beautiful. You're more than what people tell you. But it's about being that kind of like confidence in yourself, regaining that confidence, coming back and be able to state like, no, you know what? I'm here. I got it. I got goals. I got life. And, I define who I am. No one can define me. I'm curious if you had any like specific role models in your life, people that you aspire to become, people you wanted to be when you would grow up, and or people role models now that you look up to.
Yeah. Just to add on that though,
Please.
just to sum it all up, like, to only when you look within you can find your true power. I think that's the very key part there. But role models, first of all, my parents, they were, being the eldest, they had me at a young age of 24, 25, so they were pretty young and they pretty much grew up with me. So I saw their struggles. I saw their ups, their downs, their wins, their losses, and their examples of hard work and determination and resilience. That was huge for me, and it really defined me as a person. And also my grandma that my mom mentioned, Lola Vid, who has just passed away. Yeah, she really helped. She was really a huge part in molding me as a person, because she really helped my parents in raising us up. So like those examples.
Can you describe like kind of like why she was so special? I know we did a whole show on that. And please check out that show as well. But what do you think about that kind of about her made her special in your life? You mentioned kind of like raising with your. What did you kind of learn through that process of growing with your parents and being with your aunt?
I knew already that she was already special back then, because of how she raised me and my siblings. She was just full of like zest in life, and she was very hardworking. Always patient and all that. But what really gave me the realization and how great she was when she passed away. Of how much people were there, expressing their love and everything. She was. I don't know how she did it, but she was everywhere. She was. We have a big family. And she was always there to help every single one of them in their different periods of their lives. And she also has friends that she was also there on a point in their lives. And I don't know how she did it. She just had so much love in her. And also the manner and how she expressed that love is just really inspiring. And I just aim to be her, Like, I hope that one day when I pass away, I've also left that impact.
Well, I think that's
everyone.
The beauty of what you're doing, and what you're aspiring for. Obviously running, but I think it's really, really cool to see the transition from the Philippines coming to America and the ambition that you're having to achieve other goals. But I am curious because most of your life is in the Philippines, and as you mentioned, I'm curious specifically about if this was the question, okay? Hey, listen, I'm an American, okay, guys, so don't get too crazy here. But if you had to advocate to why Philippines is the best place to go, the number one spot, like the most like, you have nowhere else you can go. You gotta go to the Philippines for like one of the biggest things you're proud of about your country. You're proud of about being a Filipino. Like, what would that thing be?
It's funny because people, the Philippines has this slogan, it's more fun in the Philippines. and they're like advertising efforts and stuff. They would always show the smiles of the Filipino people. They dance, they sing, they all that and stuff. They do all those great, amazing stuff. But I think that actually encapsulates what Philippines is. They are a land of smiles. You know, Philippines is a third world country, but they are very appreciative of what they have. They would always, you know, life is hard, but they would always do everything with a smile in their face. Tourists love going there because they are very hospitable. They welcome everyone, no matter what their color, their race, their status in life. They always welcome everyone with open arms and treat you like you are their children for the day, or you know, when you go there, you feel that.
You know
You
what?
have just that spirit.
Well, I remember being a kid and I would walk around the street and be like in like different spaces, and I would have like grandmothers be, you know, like when you have the community like getting on you, you know, like people like, where you're not even my mom, like how are you yelling at her? You know, but that shows like kind of just how like close people would be, you know. Did you ever have like those moments, like did you ever felt like that at home?
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Ben would always also could tell you. I mean he calls my mom galit na manok, which is like angry chicken translated in English.
Yeah, I do.
Because they're just like, you know, they treat you as like their own children. They don't care.
That's awesome. Uh, you mentioned this, the land of smiles, and I think that's just such a good way to explain it. When I was at Mayfest, you just saw everyone was just festive and smiling. I didn't see not one person with a bad mood, which is hard to believe because you can always find one person. But to not have one person there with a bad mood, it was really cool to kind of see. With everything you have going on, right, and all the things, all the tasks that you have, how I mean, you're gonna be adding a whole nother responsibilities, right? If you're crowned, right, Miss Philippines USA, how are you gonna be able to kind of manage all those things, but also serve your people, serve your constituents?
I've always gone by with the mantra that nothing is impossible with a willing heart. And I think I am like a living testimony of that because ever since I was a kid, I really never settled on one thing. I'm always trying to like pursue more because I want to live up to that potential. I was just actually talking to Ben about that. You know, it's would you rather suffer the pain of growth or the pain of regrets? And I don't want to live with regrets, you know. So I've always like pursued more things more things so I can like, you know, live up to my full potential. And to answer your question, I feel like if you are willing, if it's in your heart to do something with this, you know, like serving the community, having that impact to my community, and I am committed to that. That is why I joined the Miss Philippines USA. You can find ways, and also I believe that God doesn't really give you a dream so big like this if you can't really handle it. You know, maybe it's his way of showing you that, hey, maybe you need to be humble enough to ask people to help you also, and to also turn to me to be able to turn around situations for you. You know, we are not living in this life alone. There's always the help of other people that are close to us, and God as well. And I believe that with Him, anything is possible.
I have two final questions for you. I think one of the two biggest ones. The first question is, I guess I want to know, what will you do if you win, right? What is your kind of goal if you win Miss Philippines USA?
Thank you for that question. Well, first of all, I would love to. I would give back to God because everything comes from Him, and to my family because they have supported me all throughout this journey, and it was tough. It was really tough. It was not a walk in the park, but ultimately, if I win, I want to work with the organization to put forth my advocacy of body positivity and self love. Maybe most probably utilize my following in social media because I've already built quite a following there. I want to utilize that and create a safe space for everyone to find their inner peace, to help them and to encourage them find their inner peace, and to be a safe place for them to express themselves, and so that they can find their own purpose as well. If given the opportunity, I would want to like work with schools to establish maybe programs to help little children to learn more about self discovery and self worth at a young age. I think that's very important to set that up as early as a young age. If given the opportunity, that would be awesome. And just little efforts like that, and just use my platform to encourage people to make a difference in the world, to do in their like own little steps. It doesn't really have to be big, in your tiny steps.
Love it. I have one final question, and I would like to do a challenge. We're challenging people.
What is this?
Got a challenge today, but I think hopefully it will be natural. I would like for you to advocate for yourself. You talk about self-love, especially it's hard because you have met so many, I imagine, amazing pageant, members who are going for contestants as well for this role. And it, as much as like I imagine you've seen people capable of being, Miss Philippines USA, I would like to take a moment for you to express why you should be Miss Philippines USA. And I would also, if you're comfortable, I would like to see if you could say it in Tagalog, if I say it right.
Oh.
And I would like to advocate for your people, if that's okay.
Yeah.
I would like to do a little challenge because you do have a community, and this is for your people. And I know not everyone is in your community speaks, but I think it'd be really cool and special to be able to kind of talk to them. Why should you be Miss Philippines USA?
Okay. Thank you for this opportunity. Hello po sa lahat. Kamusta? Ako po si Julia. Supportahan niyo po ako sa Miss Philippines USA dahil ako po ay commit. Oh my gosh, it's so hard to like I just realized it's so hard to translate in Tagalog when your like thoughts are in it. Pero ayun po, ma-appreciate ko po yung supportan niyo sa dadating na Miss Philippines USA Coronation Night on July 23rd. Supportahan niyo po ako dahil committed po ako na makatulong sa lahat ng tao in any way that I can to make a difference. I'm so sorry.
You're good.
To make a difference. And yeah. Salamat po.
We want to really appreciate you coming on and being able to express some of the things, because it's for someone to put themselves out there, to want to talk about themselves in the community, and want to advocate for something that you find is special. It takes a lot of heart, it takes a lot of guts, and for someone so fresh to the country and still wanting to be able to represent where you come from, and the people that you love and the people that you're close with, and to build another community through this process, I think is really awesome. And I wish you the best of luck in your journey, and I know that people around you have a lot of support in that area as well. And I can't tell you who I'm biased for, but as of right now, I think for sure, I think you can be a great contender. I think your this self-positivity is such a great message. I think the confidence that you abode is really cool. I think the ambition that you have, that you want to achieve the goals that you want to achieve. I think just who you are and what you're representing is someone that I think I could see as a Miss Philippines USA. So
Thank you so much.
Is there any final things that you want to say to whether it be your friends, family, community, and where can people reach you? How can people connect with you?
Oh yes. Well, my Instagram TikTok and YouTube are all the same. Julia Styles underscore JuliaStylesSSS_. Follow me there to also see the journey and everything. I post most of it right now since it's only 5 weeks, I think, till the pageant. Oh my gosh, it's coming up. But we also have the presentation of candidates, the official presentation of candidates, coming up on June 25 in Hilton Glendale. Tickets are $50. So if you are free, come join us there to see the candidates that are advocating for the Philippines. Also, the preliminary is in July 20, also in Hilton Glendale, and the coronation night is on July 23 in Alex Theater in Glendale. Thank you.
Thank you guys. This is the Peony podcast, the beginning of everything, beginning of the never ending. And I'm really excited for you guys to join us and to be able to be on our show. Though it may be quick, obviously this is not going to be the only time you'll see Julia. We have many people and many guests that we're bringing on. We're excited for, I think, this Friday, right? We got Julia's fiance coming on. We got to finish up the rest of our story we got hopping up on. So we're excited for that as well. But anyway, please like, comment, subscribe, follow us on our channels, and please connect with Julia. She's someone that's worth connecting with. So thank you everyone who joined us, and to all, good night, peace, love, and happiness. Even after
Thank
that.
you.